For us, for generation power of ourselves, no different to you guys. Solar power has been installed, more energy efficient gas systems. Then we've also had other systems where we've come back and we've just decided, right, okay, packaging now has to be designed that the box is going to be encompassing the product instead of thousands of airbags that were in plastic. We're now going to actually encompass that. We've designed the packaging that is done there. It's all cardboard. There's no tape. It's paper. It's, so we're trying to cut back on everything to make everything as recyclable as possible.
Hello and welcome to another amazing, absolutely wonderful ding dong. This is the top of the crop. This is an amazing CEF Tech Talking podcast. I think I got it all in there, didn't I?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And it's a sunny day as well. It feels sunny. It's a sunny CEF Tech.
Oh, yeah, it's lovely and warm in here anyway because we've got these amazing sunbeams with us. Look.
Shining rays of light.
We've got more from Legrand, haven't we?
So who do we have and what do you do?
So I'm Joshua Peace. I look after CEF across the Legrand group.
Somebody's got to.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that.
Try my best. But I also am from a CP electronics background, so that's where the sensors and things come in.
Okay. Yeah, all the controls, isn't it, today? We're all talking about controls today. And who have we got to talk about controls?
Big brother all the way through. So I'm James Wallace. I'm the National Specification Engineer for the UK. And obviously I just talk about the sensors in some detail.
Now these are, first of all, do your sensors and bits and bobs just control lights?
Lights, fans typically are the other thing. We also combine it with, because we're part of Legrand, so we've also got the bus bar section. So we combine that with the bar and it's self-direct, so we can have fan coil units on another set of bar to actually control those as well.
So it's not just as people see these thinking it's just purely for lights. It expands, doesn't it, to be able to do a number of different controls. Effectively, it's just a switch, isn't it? And once you whack on that switch, you can put pretty much anything you want. Bearing in mind you have to go through some other components probably first, but to make that work.
So it's a detector.
Yeah.
So is it? And this is PIR.
Yep.
Yeah. So this, what we're looking at, is like a downlighter, but it's detected. So that would go in a roof?
Yeah, so you're taking out sort of the same sort of size, aren't you, for a downlight, and you're inserting this instead of a downlighter.
Yeah. So, and that's primarily used for what purpose? Why would you put them in?
Typically for occupancy. Yeah. So if we there's going to be two scenarios. So let's take a commercial scenario. Let's say it's an open plan office. You'll go into the office and it will detect movement and it will bring the lights on. If you have dimmable lights, then we're going to introduce energy saving, but it will just be there. And if they walk out after a predetermined time, they'll go off and save you energy.
Now, these have been installed and I've done quite a bit of it, in offices all over the place, isn't it? Because people want... I mean, I've had to sit in meetings and start waving after halfway through. Just to get...
Not one of ours.
Yeah. Well, it is one of yours, probably, but it's nothing to do with this. It's the people that have installed it, isn't it? Yeah. Not installing it. Yeah. And again, knowing that the controls... What are the parameters of this? What can you make it do then, from time-wise to full occupancy or multiple occupancy through to what? Can it do?
So it's interesting you say about the meeting room. If we circle back to that, I'll try and answer it. So if you have a look at the meeting room, you would typically go in, you would hit a light, which would mean absence. And I call it absence as detection. It's just where you walk in the room, you put the lights on. As long as there's movement there, the lights will remain on. When you leave, you turn the lights out. I call it a teenager setting. So if you forget to actually turn the lights out, they just swan off out.
Yeah.
After a predetermined time period, they'll turn off for you. So if you had that as a meeting room, you said the lights timed out. What you had is if you have a switch and you turn it on, the lights will come on. And what it has is absence. So if it timed out and it went off, we actually build in absence recovery in these now. So for 10 seconds, it will ignore a switch and it will change to presence and then look for any movement at all to bring the lights back on. So you're not falling over chairs to go back and turn the lights back on.
Ah, see, it's quite. I won't have to do my waving halfway through the next meeting, will I? Just to
it's always funny in glass-fronted offices.
Yeah,
you see them in there on their own, walking around with their waving them.
And you think they're waving at you?
They're just dancing, really.
Now you said this is PIR technology, because there's some of these will look pretty much the same, but they're micro sensors, aren't they?
So microwaves, yeah.
Microwave sensors.
So we have another one here, which is similar, slightly bigger, but the orifice is quite different.
So what's different here then?
So passive infrared is, without sounding too crazy, it just has a pyro in the middle. And the reason you have this funny coloured lens with all the little splits there is it diffracts the beams, so you get little beams coming out, and the nice word for it is vortices.
Okay.
And when you see one beam and another, and you get heat movement between the two, it joins a path. It goes movement, and that's how it stays on.
Oh, okay.
With a microwave, you actually look at a microwave. A microwave is really, really sensitive, so it paints an outline image of a room in simplistic terms. You and I breathing, your chest movement is enough to keep that light going.
Is it
it's
really?
Really, really, really good. The pro and the con is that if you have a PIR in a meeting room, like you say, with a glass front, you're watching people waving away. If you have a PIR there, that's great. You can walk outside the glass, and that won't trigger that office lighting on because you're shielding the heat behind glass.
Behind the glass, yes, yes.
But with a microwave, not a problem. It'll see you straight through and just go on. So there is a trade-off. I mean, with microwaves, they're fantastically good. A lot of the time, we've only had small problems when you have schools and you have what they call the corridor space, when you run down the middle, and all the kids are going to the classes. They've got this habit of putting really large clocks to let the kids know the time.
They
of course,
have,
every minute that hand just goes clunk, that sees it,
that
and
sees
carries on.
it.
So you just got to be aware of what you're doing.
This is, I say, slightly larger than, I suppose, the average downlighter, but what cone of range would this have?
So if you had it in its flat format there, because this can actually be pulled out, so you can pull it out. It's almost like
I've been fiddling
hood.
with that. That's what that does. Right.
So you can have it. That's
look
the way.
at that.
That's the way you typically see it at the end of the corridor.
Down the corridor, looking at what's going on.
So if that was housed at the end of the corridor, for example, what it will do is it will give you 1.5 meters behind, because we all know that the ceiling tiles near the door, no one ever puts it right there.
Yeah.
So it actually gives you 1.5 meters behind to catch the door behind you. It will give you 23 meters forward, and it will actually give you 3 meters to the left and 3 meters to the right.
Let's have a look at
So
that.
how's it doing the behind bit then? Because there's this is not
No.
seeing,
Well,
is it?
a microwave, it'll go straight through plastic. Fine. Go through it. Go through
scary actually, all these microwaves.
Yeah, hold on a
It's
minute.
3,800 times less background radiation than your mobile phone. So you're fine.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so
You're better off putting that in your pocket.
My phone does, isn't it?
Signal's not as good on them though.
You don't get good reception on these.
That's a stunning coverage area, isn't it?
That is unbelievable.
Really
Putting it like
precise.
that.
And what sort of power draw is that? What's it
The
take?
power draw there is roughly 210 milliwatts. It's nothing.
Nothing at all. Now, what about this then, the PIR?
Yeah, like you're really testing me on parasitic values here. I'm going to say 160-ish.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking
games.
because the volume that you might be putting into a large building could have an impact if there were.
If there's lots of,
sizing.
if there's lots
100%.
of, that's nothing to worry about. On the energy saving though, you won't worry about
Yeah,
it.
of course, you're saving a massive
Yeah,
amount.
the net saving is going to be there, isn't it? So what types of things can they control? Because I know with some it can do LEDs, some can't do LEDs, some can do. So what can they or can't they do on these?
Well, at CP we like the old adage: keep it simple, stupid.
Guess
So,
what's the result? You're in the right place, mate.
to be fair, they
usually say
employ
that,
me,
mate.
so it's got to be that. So in essence, all of our detectors that you have in front of you there, they're all 10 amp. So it's 10 amp
Great.
LED, 10 amp.
So on
whatever
those
you like.
terminals there, they are switching 10 amp.
Yep.
Great.
So again, so if you go back to the fan, if you take a simple PIR on a toilet, for example, then a lot of the time, great for consultants, they'll always say, I'll have a 2-channel PIR, one for the fan, one for
Yeah.
this. And there is value to that, because the 2-channel PIR, you can put a different timeout value for the fan, which is great. But that's a little bit more money. But you can also go for a single channel PIR, because it's 10 amp and control both anyway. You're just limited to the one timeout period.
Clever.
And is that, I'm getting a bit geeky now, but is that switching electronically or is it a relay in there?
It's a relay. What we're planning to do.
So
No, it's sorry.
it sounded like an embarrassment.
No.
Sorry, we're using relays.
He's outed us.
Because we're thinking that we're almost thinking about possibly changing that to a solid state relay to help with the parasitic value going
that's
further.
why-
So
that's
it was
sort
just
of why I
purely.
wondered, yeah.
It was interesting you asked it. Sorry, that was all I was
He
thinking.
does this every now and then. He chucks a curveball in every now and then.
You guys are quite on it here. Yeah.
So this stuff here, it's going to need some design. You can't just go slinging these in all over the place, can you? You need to know what you're doing with them.
I suppose it depends what range though. That's one thing we do at CP is we cover sort of every base. Do you know, there's no one that does the range like we do. So we go all the way from what we call green eye, which is basic standalone detectors. That you might put in a toilet when you've not really got a system, all the way through. Then you have your VIT M4 and your BVIT M6, which is just time saving, daisy chain systems, with an LCM. Then you go up to VIT P7, which is semi-smart, so that's single room, so that's in classrooms a lot. and then you have rapid, which is fully addressable, which is, you know, links into your BMS. So we cover every base. So it depends. You know, some you can just sling one in a room if you've got a room that you just don't want the...
But what if I want to go for those larger systems? So this is me, contractor, out there, and I get my opportunity to do the first multi-office block that I've really taken care of. And they're talking to me at the pre-start meetings about they want some energy efficiency lights going in, not a problem. But they then want the energy saving controls in there as well. Now, if it's one of my first jobs, I've got to go out there and learn all this, have I? Or can you guys help?
Oh, we'll help.
We can help entirely. Yeah, there's no problem. So our quotation package is Bluebeam, which is pretty much industry standard. A lot of contractors will have that. So we will present it in a format that's familiar to them. And we will also give an idea of what area is doing, what it's behaving as. Even going down to the level that if they need the information, we can actually go, well, look, we recommend an MK4900 centre bias retractive switch for this one. This will be mains or this will be SELV, and let them know.
So not only you're telling me where to put this, but you're telling me what to put it with.
Yeah.
Well, bless.
Because, again, we like to keep it simple.
Yeah, well, that's a bit more than simple, isn't it? You couldn't go in there and put it in for me, could you?
That's wave your arms around.
If my boss isn't watching, we do spend a lot of time on site. But to be fair, if you take that open plan office and you look at it from all aspects, you can do that open plan office with these products. These are standalone. So this is your basic sensor that will do a little group of fittings.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because you get a little credit card handset here that you can just basically override them on, override them off. I'm not the tallest of people in the world, so obviously if I need to adjust the timeout, I don't want to be pulling that down. I can just literally alter the time. You can even give it a lux hold off, so if there's enough light. So because all of these have an active photocell inside, it's measuring the ambient light.
I was going to ask that, yes, right.
So over a 10-minute period, it will look out at the mean average and then decide that there's enough light, and they actually just hold the lights off for you.
Clever, because the first ones of these that came in, I was doing an office block. This was in London, and they first started to introduce photocells as part of the energy saving requirement, which meant that the lights nearest to the windows were going on and off constantly.
Yeah.
With the cloud cover, they were going to. But you said there, it measures over a 10-minute period.
Yeah.
See, that's what we didn't have back in the day.
That was definitely relays.
Those passing clouds were really annoying.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
This is an obvious question, but I have to ask. You don't get one of these for each fitting, do you?
No. The one
So
will
that
do
will
one.
cover
One
a
is
whole
will
area.
do them all. A lot of the time, you'll find the contractors will have one of those in their toolkit, and they just leave it rattling around until they need it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Very dinky
yeah.
little thing. Nice.
So you guys will help. So if I am at that pre-start meeting and I get told you need to include this in what's going on in the installation of these offices, how do you help? Are you remote, or you said you're there on site quite a lot? Is that because you come and help people like me? Is that right?
Well, I know you didn't perfectly. A lot of the time, you might have an issue on site where maybe a contractor, this is really, really rare, but they may have wired it wrong. And I know that never happens. I've just gone into the wrong sort of people. You get other arenas where obviously they may have put the sensor in the wrong location. So you might have a microwave pointing out at a window where we've shown a PIR. So we can kind of just go, actually, that's wrong. A lot of the time, especially when DALI's involved, then they start trying to put DALI in other areas.
You deal with DALI, switch dim, and all that sort of stuff, do you? DALI 1, DALI 2?
DALI 1, DALI 2. We're fully approved for DALI 1 and DALI 2. So for us, we're very comfortable with DALI.
Yeah.
Because it's just where the industry is. Yeah.
It's that international standard which is now being asked for, and a lot, isn't it? So, So how do you get... Do you also deal with the design? So if I'm doing lighting designs now, I go and ask someone for a scheme, and they will provide me with a scheme. Can this be included in part of that scheme as well?
So what'll happen is you'll go get your lighting design.
Yep.
Then you send the lighting design over to us with obviously the spec and what you need, whether it's addressable or whatever. And then we've got a huge design team.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah, a huge design team.
Where are they based then?
So they're all remote.
Oh, okay.
So they are, they're external salespeople.
Right.
So if I'm honest, we've had a few new recruits, so I don't know the exact number if I'm honest, but it's over 25.
Wow.
Nearer 40.
So I'm glad you...
Nearer 40 as a sales team.
Yeah, as a sales team, but just sort of exclusive designers.
I'm glad you confirmed, Josh, it's in that order. So I go and get my scheme first, and then after I've got the scheme, then come to you guys for the controls.
Yeah, so because we need to know where, obviously,
what you're controlling.
Yeah, and
the loads, I imagine, don't you?
Yeah, and where the sort of fittings are, because we'll specify everything down to PIR, length of lead, LCM, how many ways.
Yeah. You go. So after you finish with it, I get a long list, shopping list.
Yeah, quote list. Yeah, and then via a wholesaler. Like CEF.
Yeah, that's it.
You got that one right there, John. We've been asking a lot of questions of our tech talkers lately about sustainability. So we're going to ask you, what's the story with sustainability? What's the plastic type? Is it recyclable? Where do you get it from? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so we're making huge strides. I mean, our EcoVadis score is Platinum Plus.
Wow, very good.
Yeah,
Something proud of, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, so we are very proud of it. I mean, we're very sort of lucky that we're French owned. Because
you don't hear that very often, do you?
No, yeah.
Well, you've got to paint it in, think of the positives. But with France, because of the legislations, I think they were a lot earlier in adapting, than the UK possibly was.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of things in France that are, coming from group that help us. So obviously the EcoVadis help and things like that.
Because EcoVadis, people have heard on the other podcasts we've done, EcoVadis is pretty big for CEF. We're doing this because we know that the contractors now out there are being asked as part of their projects or part of their submissions for projects about EcoVadis, and we are part of that supply chain into them, and that means then we have to come to you and ask you about EcoVadis because you supply into us, we supply into them. So it's all about making sure everyone's on board with it.
And after having a good few meetings with Connor Dalton and all your growing team, I think it's 95% of your emissions, as it were, are out of your control.
It's down to you, mate.
Supply chain. 100%.
You're 95%.
And we're in a very similar position as well.
But that's a very impressive score you've got there. I mean, what steps have you had to take to get that high?
Now you're asking some tough questions.
As a company, so what we've employed, we've got 9 people. We call it the CSR, which is just, we include diversity, sustainability, circular economy all within it to attain that score as a group. So for us, we've done from simple things. For us, for generation power of ourselves, no different to you guys. Solar power has been installed, more energy efficient gas systems. Then we've also had other systems where we've come back and we've just decided, right, okay, packaging now has to be designed that the box is going to be encompassing the product instead of thousands of airbags that were in plastic. We're now going to actually encompass that. We'll design the packaging that is done there. It's all cardboard. There's no tape. It's paper. It's, so we're trying to cut back on everything to make everything as recyclable as possible.
Great.
Brilliant.
As regards to the plastics, if you imagine that everything we build is manufactured in Wembley. So in Wembley, what we have as a company is you can come along and manufacture it, see our manufacture process in there. You can even see us test every single PCB. Every single product is tested before it goes out the door. But in there, we're also looking at the actual system going forward, where we can go and what the market's reaction is to whether virgin plastic, which that is, whether recycled plastic would be seen and be allowed. Now, that's a finished product that goes on the ceiling. Now, we might look towards doing something maybe with the LCM that's hidden.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
In the global network, because the Western economy drive for recycled products is so high, a lot of the time we dip our toe in the water to have a look, and it's actually been 4 times the value of virgin plastic because the demand is so high.
You're absolutely right.
This is a point we made in an earlier chat.
This up,
that actually we're going to run out of things to recycle at the moment.
It's trying to walk that path and understand where the balance has to come from.
You see, I've got an old set of French doors. I'm wondering how much I'm going to get for them. I'm going to hang on to them for a bit longer. I'm going to sell them to the guys at Legrand.
We'll take them off your hands. And the French. Happy days.
I think knowing full well that, without a doubt, you're leaders on this, not just from what you're doing at the back house and stuff, but when it comes to the products that you guys are providing. And to know full well that, again, it come from the PIR to the sensor and the fact that you're a massive support mechanism there as well.
Yeah.
is absolutely vital to the guys that are listening to this.
And I'm loving all this British manufacturer.
Yeah, I know.
We've got Scarborough,
Wembley, this little Wembley. It's absolutely
we're all
great,
in Britain.
isn't it?
It's great.
Yeah.
Look, in Wembley, we're really happy to talk to anyone about any of the business units. We've got a Legrand Academy there, so the idea being that we can take anyone you want to go along.
Dave.
We'll come along and present.
We've got to go.
We can- yeah, yeah.
Let's sign up.
So,
Might be a night out in it.
yeah, well, you won't find me there. So, if people wanted to get hold of the support that you said. So, if I go and get my scheme from a lighting manufacturer, how does that get to you then? Do I go to a local CEF and talk to them and say, look, where do I go next with this? And they find you, or do I come direct to you guys?
Either way, really. I mean, the support network. So we have a wholesale team, which are split into sort of regions, and they'll look after your local CEF branches. I look after CEF, across the country, Scotland, Northern Ireland, but they can get in touch with me, anyone, and we'll pass it on to the right people. You've got project engineers all over the place, and depending on what scheme it is, so if it's addressable, that we've got rapid designers, and if it's non-addressable, then we've got other designers. So anyone really, you can send it through to our generic customer, go via our website, send it into the office and it'll find its way, or via a CEF branch. We're more than happy to help whichever avenue you like to take.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. That's absolutely superb. Well, I think I now know a lot more about this than
certainly know a
ever I
lot
did
more,
when I
yeah.
sat down 20 minutes ago.
And that microwave one's amazing.
You want one of these,
I
didn't you?
do.
Dave's got a problem with his outside lights.
Happy days. Happy days.
Right, if you're liking what you're hearing, please hit a subscribe button and share with others. We really do appreciate all your support. These CEF Tech Talking podcasts have gone down an absolute stream with a lot of people, so please continue to let us know. And if you want us to talk about anything else, just drop us a line in the comments and we will pick up with the teams and come and find some solutions for you for all the many problems that are out there. Until next time, from me and the lovely boys from Legrand, thank you very much for listening to another CEF Tech Talking podcast. Say bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.